Oi. It's me. Hi, I'm here. Um, so today's inspiration was just madness. Um, I got, as usual, discounted meat, um, which is the basis of our thing. I was thinking, what could we do with that? Uh, we've had this cut before. This is a top sirloin fillet, which I am unclear as to what it is. I barely ever see it. It seems like it's some kind of off cut or strange cut that the store only gets in every once in a while. They often end up in the discount bin because I think people don't know what to do with them. They look kind of like a New York strip with this big, thick fat cap on the top. Um, but they're not somehow. So I'm not sure what the deal is with these things. But the last one we had was delicious. I cut it real thin rather than cooking it as a steak. I cut it real thin and I made the thing with it. Um, it was really good. It was so flavorful, and the big thick fat cap, which is hard fat. We could talk about fat, different types of fat sometime. Um, got really beautifully tenderized and nice. The way I'm going to cook it today, it might need a little help because we're going to cook it even hotter faster, and that might not be enough to render it down. So we'll see. Um, but I was thinking, what can we do with this? What do we do with it? Because I wanted to slice it up real thin again to give it the best chance because it just did so well last time. And I don't really like big. I like beef well enough. I don't really like a big steak so much. Um, Only occasionally do I. Is that the kind of beef that I am interested in? That led me into like a bulgogi. But then, do I want to do bulgogi? I was actually doing a little bit of research. Remember, I was interested in Croatian food, and I was looking for Croatian beef recipes, and I found one. I found a really interesting one that I want to try because it sounds absolutely delicious. But the recipe specifically says avoid sirloin. Sirloin. So we'll come back to that at some point because it sounded amazing and I want to do it. But I've got a piece of sirloin here, so we can't do that one. Um, so I was thinking, what's going on? I kept my head kept circling back to bulgogi. Um, and in the past, when we've done bulgogi, I've not done it with an Asian pear because those are expensive and they're pretty much the same as. Honestly, I know. Oh, it's different. It tastes different. The thing you want from it is an enzyme, and that enzyme is in all the pears and all apples. It's a very common thing. The flavor is different, but the function is the same. So you can fudge it and use something that's not as tough to get or expensive as Asian pear, those perfectly round little pears. Um, but that got me thinking, you could throw an apple in there. And I've done that before. But we don't have to make bulgogi out of this. What else goes with apples? And I've talked about this several times. What goes with meat? Pumpkin spice, which is also the same spice blend as apple pie spice. It's the same spices, guys. Um, so what have I got? I got a piece of meat. We take our pie spice, we add it to our meat. We take our pie spice, we add it to our apple. We, this is a Granny Smith, so this should be sturdy enough to handle a little bit of cooking. We take these things, we combine into one big thing. So we're fusing pumpkin spice meat, which I'm a big advocate of, bulgogi, which I've made several times and is delicious. And if you've never had it, you should make it. It's delicious. And fall. Apple pies are a fall thing because apples are coming into season. Or at this point, they're already in season. But apple pie, it's a big fall thing. That's the plan. That's where it came from today. I have some plans. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Step one, in which I get out the rice cooker. We're going to serve this with rice. I think that is the best and most appropriate. So we're going to have the rice going on the side. That's going to be step one. We're going to do rice. I'm not going to talk you through the full workup on rice. If you don't know how to make rice, I'm sorry. Especially with a cooker. I will say we're going to rinse the rice. We want nice, neat rice today. And I'm going to make extra because I want to make sure to have enough. There's no such thing as too much rice. There's so many uses for leftover rice. So I'm going to do a full cup of rice in the cooker, which is more than I typically need for a meal. But again, leftover rice can be used for a million and one things. Even small amounts of it can be used very easily. So, seeing as there's hardly anyone here yet, and I'm doing something boring over by the sink, I'm just going to sort of be over here and chit-chat and rinse rice with the back of my head. Hey, back of my head. So, the weather has gone cold. Fully cold. We had, God, it was in the 80s this week. We've had full-on summer returned this week, but summer also departed this week, and we had a persistent, lingering frost. It frosted last night, and then when the sun hit that frost this morning, it stayed. It stayed for a while. It did eventually burn off. We got up into the 40s, something. And I actually got quite a lot of solar gain from the sun. It's beautifully sunny. So the house is pretty nice. It's cool, but it's pretty nice. I do have the heat on. I'm not completely, but it hasn't had to run today because I've gotten a lot of solar gain from the sun. So it's a nice day. Frankly, I love this weather. It's brisk and pleasant. It's cool. It's not windy today. Bright sun means that the cold weather doesn't really bite. It's a beautiful fall day. Perfect for beautiful fall stir fry. I guess. Two rinses seems like it's fine. I did a lot of water in the first rinse and stirred it quite a while. The second rinse was barely cloudy at all, which is a good sign. You don't want it to be cloudy. That's when you stop rinsing, is when its stuff runs clear. I also got new plates. I think I mentioned them on Monday, but they're ready to go. They're for prime time today. They've been through the wash. We might use one. They're just simple plates, but they're kind of filling a niche that I haven't had. A medium-sized, non-white, non-black plate that doesn't have any like weird decoration. They're just, you can kind of see them in the corner over here. They're just plain colors. Okay, part 2, in which we slide over here. I'm not going to cut the apple until I need it because it's going to go brown, and I'd rather it not go very brown. Although Granny Smiths resist that, they still do eventually go brown, and I'd rather avoid that. A little bit of lemon juice would be good to keep the apple from going brown and to sort of pep up our finished thing as well. So that's probably going to be... My phone went clicky clicky. Go check on it. It's probably more political spam. More political spam. As long as there's nobody here. Oh, no, that was Twitch informing me that my export of the Monday show that I forgot to put on YouTube has succeeded and is on YouTube. So you can go check it out if you missed that one. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, hi! Let's see. I want a pretty substantially sized red onion today. Because we're looking for some color. So red. Speaking of red, we're going to throw an Anaheim pepper in there. And our apple and our meat. And we probably should use some bok choy because I've got bok choy. It needs to get used before it goes wilty. I frequently end up throwing a little bit of this away every time I get one because they go a little bit wilty. They're very affordable, so I'm not super sad about it, but I'm always a little sad about it. So we'll throw a little bit of bok choy. We're going to need to marinate the meat. We probably should do that first, get that in the marinade. Which means we need to slice that thinly, which means we need the meat board. Although we're dealing with beef today, not chicken, so we are less wildly concerned about washing my hands every 2 seconds. You should still wash your hands when dealing with beef, but it's less of a huge concern than with poultry. Whenever you get discount beef, give it a quick sniff. Make sure it's not gone weird on you. Discount meat in general. This one smells fine. I probably wouldn't leave it another day. And we're using our long slicer. To get, hopefully, very neat, thin pieces. The long slicer lets you do, I'm doing a 2-stroke, partly because the fat cap is resisting me a little bit, but also because my knife isn't quite long enough to do this in 1 stroke. But the point is we're not sawing through the meat, we're just giving it a quick stroke through. So the fibers should not get all mangled up. Get nice, even slices. We could probably do this forward if I pressed down harder and do it in 1 slice going forward. But ideally a knife should be pulled back. The tip does a lot of work. So going down forward and then finishing it by pulling back is the cleanest it feels the best to my hand. I don't know if it's the best way to do it. It feels the best to my hand. And we're going slow because I don't want to cut myself. I also want to make these even. Wow, the rice cooker is making a racket, a ton of noise, little pop, 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 pop over here on the side. You can probably hear it. Yeah, it's engaging the microphones, so. And down to the last little nugget that is hard to cut. Okay. You don't need that knife anymore. That knife can go in the sink. Get out a plastic bag. Load it up with our meat. Remove the board. Wash our hands. Okay. And now we add flavors. I see you. There. Being not first. Hi, welcome in. You're not first. Congratulations. We are doing a quick marinade. Another reason to slice it very thin is I'm attempting to do a quick marinade. Oop, my bitrate is having a fit. Yeah, I can see. Why? Okay. Okay, it was a blip. We lost 1,000 frames. Don't know what it was. Oh, we're losing more. Oh, shoot. Stabilize. Stupid internet. We might be having internet issues today again. And I really, really don't want that. Come on. Weirdly, the bitrate number is shooting way up when it's crunching, which is the opposite of what it normally does. So I guess I'll keep an eye on it. Okay, I'm putting in some soy sauce. I'm putting in some apple juice. I'm nervously glancing over at my OBS panel. I'm wondering how you're supposed to open this bottle. There we go. Should have poured off a glass of this before I started. Ryuya! Ryuya! Hi! Welcome! Oh my god! Ryuya! You subbed. What are you doing? Prime sub. Thank you so much for that sub. We just a second ago had, oh, and it did some more. We're having some blips, but it seems to be recovering, so it's not, I don't know. So heads up, we might have a few blips. Oh my god, thank you so much, Ryuya, and also welcome, and also Bookworm, and hi. And welcome to this. You, not you, talking to my computer. You, stabilize. What the heck? You were fine a second ago. For those of you just getting here, we have beef, soy sauce, apple juice, to which I am going to be adding our pie spice mix. Because the apple pie and pumpkin pie is the same spice mix. And my rice on the side here is making a bunch of noises. A bunch of worrisome noises. I did a whole workup spiel of how I concocted this at the beginning. So I'm not going to repeat it in its entirety, but we're kind of having I talked myself into blending bulgogi and apple pie into a single thing, which is a decision that I have made. Oops, that is actively leaking. That's a problem. Boy, these... I'm going to call you guys out. Glad you even advertise it for marinating. Several of these bags have leaked when I put liquids in them. And that means they're defective. So I'm calling you out, Glad. Defective product. When it was just one, I was like, okay, fine, just one. But heck. Heck. We got a problem solved real quick. Doing this over the sink because that has sprung a leak. Okay. Leaky defective bag swapped out for just a sandwich bag, just a store brand sandwich bag. Wash my hands real quick. We will top up a little bit of liquid. Have I used a bag holder opener? No. I've seen those. I don't think I would get one. What I typically do is what I did here. I roll the bag, the outer lip of the bag outward. And it kind of holds itself. Oh, right. You also redeemed first. Congratulations. You are first. Oh, that was just a straight up spill. That wasn't that was just me being an idiot right there. The apple juice did the thing where it runs back up the jug, because of course it did. Take a pic? Why? I have a recording of it right here. You're looking at it. It's here. I could show them this footage where I put stuff in it and it leaked. Anyways, I lost my train of thought because that was leaking. We have ginger, cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg. And yes, I've used powdered for all of those guys. But we only have fresh nutmeg. I haven't bought powdered nutmeg in 1,000 years. I probably will throw some fresh ginger in with the stir fry because I think that sounds really nice. But I wouldn't put it in here. I would want powders in here because they'll help infuse. We're actually going to use all of the liquid in there, I think, as well. So we're not going to have to add any additional salt later because there's a lot of soy sauce in there. You know, in retrospect, putting this on the plate might not have been the best idea. I was trying to sort of do a display. Oh, that's fine. So, meat in the bag. Come on. The clever way to squeeze the air out, you roll it in on itself. And again, we sliced it very thin, so hopefully that will be able to do its marinating in short order. The apple juice should help it along as well. We're just going to set that aside until I need it. My phone is ringing. Hold on. That was a scam call. I didn't even have to pick it up. Okay, where was I? Set aside the apple juice. We don't need more apple juice until later. We do need more apple juice later. We're making this, we're leaning in on the apple. We're making this appley. How did I get wet on my, whatever. Oh, it's the steam from the, haha. I was wondering why the cabinet door was wet. It's directly above the rice cooker, and there's been steam coming out of the vent. That's why that's like that. Okay. Back to the main event. Interestingly, red onions were on a pretty steep sale compared to yellow onions, so I have a stock of red onions for our projects. Although they're all this size, so if I want a big onion, I still need to go with yellow onions. But if you don't want a big onion, and I just watched, oh, what's his name? He's a famous YouTube food guy. He does like analysis. He just did a one on onions, comparing the flavors of onions, and he determined that if you want maximum onion flavor, go with a red onion. So it is a more onion forward onion, more flavorsome. It's the most flavor aggressive onion of the onions. It was actually interesting. I should. What's his name? I can't remember his name. He's famous. Just kind of a food lab thing. But yeah, normally I don't get the red onions because they're frankly not that different, not wildly different. And if I want more onion, it is generally just throw in some more yellow onion. It is not Kenji. It is not Kenji. It is. Oh, I will find it because now it's bugging me that I don't remember it. Hopefully this doesn't freak out my thing. Ethan Chlebowski. And when I say he just did it, he did it 6 months ago. Ethan Chlebowski. Whole workup on onions. He didn't actually do green onions / scallions in it at all. He was just comparing red onion, white onion, yellow onion, sweet onion, so like a Vidalia, but not specifically from Vidalia, and shallot. It was very interesting. I learned some things. You might too. I should link it in my share channel. That channel in my Discord that I've shared a few things in. The intent there is for sharing stuff that you think other people would like to check out, such as the things that I've put in there. And honestly, if you want to promote your own stuff in there, I'm also perfectly okay with that. It's for example, Technology Connections he bought a $3,000 freeze dryer. Yeah, that's exactly the one, Ray. It's can you taste the difference between onions? And then he did a whole God, it's pushing it. It's nearly an hour long. It's long. That was a very interesting. I learned quite a bit. It's long for a sit down and watch a YouTube thing. Thank you, Ravia. So, onion. I need ingredient bowls. I need ingredient bowls. So red onion, because it's what I've got on hand, and also I think I want that stronger flavor today. So I'm happy that I've got red onion, and it'll provide some nice color. So I had been calling these banana peppers because when I get them, they're kind of a light green. Well, they're green, but they're like a palish green. Turns out I've been wrong. These are actually Anaheim peppers, which is why they've been spicier than I was expecting every time I use them and think, oh boy, that was a spicy banana pepper. They're Anaheim peppers. It also explains why they turned red like this. Banana peppers, famously yellow, on account of they're yellow. Um, these guys are. They've got a zing to them. They've got a bite to them. Not as much as a jalapeno, I think, but certainly a lot more than a banana pepper. Which is in part why I've not added any other hot spice to our marinade blend. I'm trusting this guy here to do that work for me. If you're interested, I'm doing a lot of promoting other people's stuff today. If you're interested in technology, I've been interested in freeze dryers for a while, but they're very expensive. That last video I put in that channel was super interesting. And he did a lot of the things that I would have done with a freeze dryer because he had a freeze dryer and he just did all the things. He's not a food guy, so he probably made some mistakes. In fact, I'm sure he made some mistakes. But it was very interesting, and I don't think I'll be investing in a freeze dryer unless we completely take off. Because it seems like kind of a very niche product. I don't really want to cut the apple until I need it, but since we're doing a stir fry at the end of this to get it all combined, we're going to need to have the apple prepped before that. I can't stop stir frying. I can't just stop stir frying to cut the apple. But no, I created that channel, and I've changed the name because I think my original name was too long. I created that channel with the purpose of it being a place where we can promote our own things if we want to, but also just like so that like video links don't get in the general channel and gum everything up because they tend to take up a big chunk of space. I'm trying to future-proof. Not that people post a lot of stuff. I'm just trying to future-proof the concepts of our Discord, just in case more than 2 people show up. Come on, get out of there. Oh, I didn't cut it all the way. That's come on. There we go. Okay. Cut that a little bit awkwardly because I want nice, long cross pieces as much as possible. Because hopefully they will be more visible and structurally sound in our finished product. Ooh, cutting through the skin side is a bad idea. Nope, our pre-roll protection has run out, which means it's been 45 minutes, 43 minutes. Yeah. Twitch notifies me when the pre-roll protection has run out so that I can, in theory, run another ad for them. Oops. Oh, so what's everybody up to on this fine fall day? Just 4 days before a catastrophic presidential election. That bowl's too small. Reason I did Granny Smith instead of Honeycrisp, for one thing, I don't like Honeycrisp. I think it is massively overhyped and isn't actually all that good. So take that, Honeycrisp. That's number one. But number two, Granny Smith is a baking apple. It's sturdier and it's meant for putting in things like pies. Your sweeter eating apples are less sturdy. So they tend to go to mush very easily when you try to cook them. And I'm hoping that Granny Smith will have enough of that sturdiness to hold up to stir frying, which is a pretty aggressive cooking method, because this apple is going into our stir fry. They also are on the sour side rather than being on the sweet side, which I prefer in general. They're not my favorite straight up eating apple, although I will reach for them over a lot of the other ones that other people typically like. I'm a big fan of it. I should do a review of apples. I'm working on a review. I'm working on a food review of sriracha. The rice is beeping at me. So I can't do apples right now unless I do apples in between. Turns out there's a lot of srirachas these days, and I want to compare them. So I don't know what the timeline is going to be on that. So, Granny Smith with lemon juice. The lemon juice should prevent it from going brown. Wash the sticky off my hands. And will help with a bit of sharpness in our finished thing, because I don't think we're going to be adding any vinegar. We're going to rely on the sweetness of the apple, the acidity of the lemon juice and the apple. Another reason I didn't want a Honeycrisp is because we're putting apple juice in this, and the apple juice, I don't know exactly what kind of apple they use. They don't advertise. It's just 100% apple cider, but it's sweet. So we didn't want even more sweetness. But also, Honeycrisp just aren't good cooking apples. They just fall apart. Okay, the rice beeped. The meat is marinating. Apples, peppers, onions, scallions. I am going to throw some of them in. They don't go in at the same time as the red onions. Probably don't need all three of these. We're going to need more spices. Ginger. I'm going to throw some fresh ginger in the stir fry part of our stir fry. So let's get that ginger. let's get that worked up. Trying to think, any other spices? We're going to put some sugar in this too. I would go with molasses, but I don't want it to change the color that much. It's already going to be dark from the soy sauce, and I don't want to take it into a black. I would like it preferably to have that kind of golden apple pie filling color, which we might have lost already. Flemish, hi, welcome. Hello. Come on in. Ooh. We're going to do some aggressive trimming because this ginger has some creepy stuff. We'll use the bottom of the ginger. That ginger went weird. Hi, George. Yeah, molasses would give us a good flavor, but yeah, I ideally want a bit more of a golden hue rather than that dark molasses brown. Although bulgogi, which we're basing this on, would normally be that very dark, rich molasses brown, even though there's no molasses in that. Okay, some ginger, which I think I'm going to throw in when I throw in the pepper. So, typically, no, I don't. I don't mind the ginger skin. It gives you a little bit of fiber. It doesn't really taste like anything. It tastes like ginger, but not as strong as the interior of the ginger. So typically, no, I don't. I know I always say, peel the skin off the ginger. What peeling the skin off the ginger does is if you're putting the ginger into something, the skin will be visible as little brown bits. When you grate ginger, if you grate the skin, you get little brown bits that won't go, they'll never disappear. If you don't care about the little brown bits and your ginger is like clean, which a lot of store-bought ginger is meticulously cleaned, it's fine. Peeling your ginger is one of those things where once upon a time you had to peel the ginger because it was sandy and gritty because it was a root that dug out of the ground. Modern practices have resulted in ginger that is so clean that you don't need to do that really. I had this ginger in the fridge because it was hot, and I was using quite a lot of ginger, but now it's cold and I don't need it to be in there anymore, but I left it in there and it went a little bit creepy. So we just trimmed up our ginger. Ginger. I'm not sure what I just said just now. I went ginger. But no, the little brown bits. The little brown bits are George. You found the new emotes. We have a couple new emotes, courtesy of WeFormer. So yeah, for the most part, store-bought ginger, there's no reason to peel the skin off. It is like peeling most other root vegetables. Once upon a time, they were very gritty and dirty on the outside, and you really had to get that off. The only way to get that off consistently was to peel them. And then it held on because peeling the skins tend to be a little bit fibrous, so they can affect the texture. And skins are typically also tough enough to stand up to cooking, so then they end up as little visible bits in the finished product. So for appearances, they always get peeled off. That's my spiel on ginger skins. Obviously doesn't hold for everything. Onion and garlic skins are papery and inedible. Although, interestingly, onion and garlic skins are very flavorful. This is not the best knife for this. Onion and garlic skins are very flavorful, even though they're inedible. So if you're making like a stock, don't peel the papery part off of your onion. Just chuck it in there. It'll extract flavor into the stock, and then you can fish the onion papers out later and throw them away after they've deposited their flavors. They won't soften up in the cooking, but they will extract their flavors. Ooh, we should have picked a different knife for this. I just grabbed the one I had been using. Okay, the fibrous ends are getting tossed. Cool. Okay. We can use that bowl that I said was too small for the apples. Too late, you're eating a coconut husk. You can eat coconut husk if you really want to. Much like you can't stop me, I can't stop you. But I don't think coconut husk is very, very tasty. Personally, personal opinion. Okay. Onion, apple, different kind of onion, pepper, ginger, meat, rice. The rice is done. The rice is ready. And I wanted to throw in some bok choy because I have them. And they're already going a little bit yellow on the edges, so we got to use them. But I don't want to go nuts with these guys, so maybe just the 3. These guys actually could use a rinse because the way they grow these, they often get dirt caught in between the little sections there. And although they will wash the outsides of them, they don't wash the insides very thoroughly because that would mean breaking them open. So you can see that one especially has dirt just caught up in there. I'm actually going to throw out these little bottoms because they all looked a little dirty. And we're going to separate the stem bits from the leaf bits. The leafy bits cook very fast and can go in right at the end. Or you can drop them on the floor. Oh. This is why you keep the floor in your kitchen clean, just in case you drop something. These guys I'm going to run under some water real fast to rinse any lingering grit out of them. Which kind of worked. Ta-da! Uh, I think that's all of my ingredients, which means we're going to get into the actual process of the stir fry. For which I have prepared the big skillet. So we can do tossy toss. We can push things around if they start getting too hot. And hopefully nothing will stick. I'm a little worried about the sugar content of this resulting in some stick. Oh, I need to get cornstarch. Back over here. Tuck those guys to the side. Cornstarch. We're doing a cornstarch slurry, even though I prefer tapioca starch these days because you don't have to make a slurry with it. Pro tip, if you can find tapioca starch, you don't have to make a slurry with it. To use it as a thickener, you can just dump it in. It doesn't thicken exactly the same way as cornstarch, but it does a pretty good job. And again, it's way easier to use. I don't know that it's available everywhere, but dang, if you can find it. If you can find it, it's an upgrade for almost every situation over cornstarch. That said, cornstarch. And apple juice. Our slurry is apple themed. Get that all hydrated up. Make sure to crush any lumps I can feel in there. I'm hoping, we have a hope. The hope is that the consistency of our liquid in the stir fry at the end will be similar to the goo inside of an apple pie. That sort of thickened, jelly-like stuff. That's what I'm hoping we hit at the end of this. Before I start, because before you start a stir fries are very like, once you start, you just keep going. And before we start, do I need anything else? I do. I do actually. Just we have some dry spices that we have to throw in here. They're going directly into the thing. I'm just going to combine them all in this bowl because they will all go in at the same time. Some black pep, some freshly ground allspice, to amp up the allspice, some more freshly ground nutmeg. I know that the ones in the marinade are going to lose oomph a little bit. So I'm giving them everybody a little bit of oomph. I want to lean in on the pie element here. We're putting in some sliced ginger to capitalize on that as well. And the last one we need is cinnamon. And we haven't used the whole cinnamon in a while, but I think this calls for it. It yearns. It yearns for the cinnamon, much like the children yearn for the mines. We don't do freshly grated cinnamon a lot because it's very potent compared to the pre-powdered stuff, and also a bit of a annoyance to deal with. But much like all of my other spices, you want stronger spices, buy them whole and grind them yourself. Okay, that's going to go in late-ish, with a bit of onion, a bit of garlic. Oh, we should put some fresh garlic in. Bit of onion, apparently more than a little bit of garlic. And I should put in a piece of fresh garlic. Don't want to go nuts with the garlic today. We are going to dial back and not go crazy with the garlic today. I'm going to actually go with 1 clove of garlic. Blasphemy. Because while I want this to be a savory thing, I don't want it to overwhelm. Hopefully. We're not working on a recipe today. We're just we've just got an idea. We're just a terrible voice spoke to me in the night and said, "You should put beef in an apple pie." And I was like, "Yes, yes, master. I shall do your bidding." Okay. Some garlic. That's going to go in, I'm not sure when. It's going to sit here until it goes in. Okay. Now I think I'm ready to slide over. Nya. I want to get some butter into this, but I don't want it to be just butter. I don't want a lot of fat in general. If it's just butter, the butter will burn by the time we're done with this, which can be good. You can get a brown butter thing going. Do I go with... I've got some bacon fat. That probably will screw up my flavor profile. We're going to start with a neutral oil. We're going to start with some neutral oil, which is our grapeseed. Get that heating. Okay, the process has started. Things are moving forward. Life is finding a way. Butter is going in later. I almost want to put the butter really late, like mounting the sauce late, so that it comes through a little bit better, because butteriness is an element of apple pie in the crust. So again, butter is. A roux actually could have been good here, except too many of these things need to be fried in oil. So you'd have to build the roux very late, which would be a slight challenge. Oh, okay. So, what's everybody else having for dinner? Here, let me give a shout out. Oops, that was a question mark. Bam. George also cooks. Here on the old Twitcheroo. Check him out. Good times. We're going to let this heat up before I dive in. I dropped an allspice. Bochum having spaghetti bolognese. Spaghetti in the style of Bologna. Nice. Nice. Our oil is flowing quite well, but the back of my hand says it's not quite up to where I want it to be. But I guess I can start with the onion. Pachmel dal, 5 lentil curry. That sounds good too. Sizzle. A sizzle is good. A sizzle is what I wanted to start with. Okay. We're going to let those onions go a little bit. This is going to be a stir fry, but it's going to be kind of a slow stir fry, I think. I'm not blasting this with crazy heat right from the start. Or am I? Browning around the edges. Pachmel dal. Pachmel dal? I want to say pachmel, personally. But that might be wrong. Giving the onions enough of a head start that the bits all separate from each other and we get lots of nice crescenty circles going on in here. Which we have achieved. So I will be adding our peppers and ginger. Remember that this pan is enormous. It's meant to be enormous so that I can spread stuff out so things don't crowd, but it also means that I have to remember I don't need to fill the pan to make a full meal, because a full pan for this is a meal for like 5 people. I think I'm going to say Peppers and onions are far enough along. We're going to put the meat in. We're going to do the meat next. Ponchmel. Punkmel? Dr. McGillicuddy's apple pie liqueur. I've not had Dr. McGillicuddy's specifically, but I have had apple pie alcohol before, and it is, can confirm, delicious. Okay, we're getting all of our beef in there now. I want it to be in there long enough to kind of render out those little fat caps that each of these slices have. And we're saving the liquid, because the liquid has a lot of our flavors still in it. I actually have some apple pie liqueur in my fridge. It is not branded because it was homemade. And it's potent. But you can make some interesting cocktails with that stuff. Oh boy, it sure smells like a thing. Wow, the pie spices are jumping out from this in a way that I have not encountered before. And I believe this needs to be hotter to do the things I want to do with it. So up the temperature goes. Meat was cold, so it brought the temperature of the thing down when I put it in there. But we definitely want this to be hot. We don't want any of this stuff to be boiling in here. We want a good cook on it. Break that one apart. Break that one apart. Okay, throw those guys in for a little bit of roughage. I'm going to take our other dry spices and throw them in now as well. And our garlic. The garlic needs to go in before we get to the liquid stage. I'm not getting a hard, loud sear off of this like I was expecting. And it has me a little concerned. I've got the temperature up like a lot. We can't wait too long or the beef will overcook. Oh, it's getting louder, which is what I wanted it to do. A louder sizzle means it's fighting with less of the moisture coming out of the food. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. Apples. course, because I have an electric heater, as soon as I pick it up, it stops sizzling, so we have to keep it down as much as possible. Okay, we're getting there. Hopefully we can get a little bit of browning on the apples without them turning to mush. What we don't want right now is mush. Because I don't know mush. But I know. I've got the burner on quite high today. Which means we cannot lose focus here. Okay, we're putting in the marinade juice. We're putting in some more of our apple. And we're putting in our leafy part of our bok choy. The apples are softening up a bit, which is good. That's what I was looking for. We'll get the leafy bits wilted down. We'll throw in the scallions. Well, I don't know that it's going to work, but that's why I used a Granny Smith, which is one of the sturdiest available apples. But you're right. Apples typically don't have the structural integrity to brown before they start to disintegrate. So I'm paying more attention to the texture. I'm just hoping that we get some browning before they just fall apart. I'm paying more attention to the texture. I want these to stay as pieces and not be mush. But yeah, exactly. I have had the same problem with some past apple experiments. There's an interesting recipe which actually comes from the anime Food Wars, or I suppose it was the manga Food Wars, for an apple risotto, and he had that same issue came up in the thing where he wanted the apple flavor to be fully infused into the risotto, but also, there goes the butter, if he left the apples in that long, they would be mush, and he wanted crisp bites of apple. And the solution was you make the risotto with apple juice, and you only add the apple right at the end. Okay, push everybody aside. Put the butter in the center so that it can melt. I have seen Red Delicious recently that do not look like they used to look, and I tried one, and it was edible. Still not like an amazing apple, but I think the apple growers finally listened to the widespread hatred of Red Delicious and are improving the breed for edibility instead of for it being or herpaderp, it red. Um, you know, okay, we're gonna get that little pat of butter that's in there to fully melt, and then everything else goes in, and then that's gonna be our finished thing as soon as the sauce thickens. So get melted there, little buddy. I don't want a chunk of butter in the end product. I just put butter in a stir fry. Guys, I just put butter into a stir fry, and none of you stopped me. As if you could stop me. Also, some sugar. And most of the scallions, we're going to save a few for a garnish. Oop, and our cornstarch is already thickening our sauce to the point where it's trying to stick, which is a good sign. I want a nice, thick, glossy sauce. I don't have any reason why this wouldn't work, the things I have done today. Wow, that sauce thickened beautifully, and I'm taking the heat off. I don't have any reason why any of the things I did today wouldn't work, but also, I was literally making this up the entire time, and I have no reason to think this will work either. To the both of you who just said that, I suggest you give a Red Delicious apple, a current modern day November 2024 Red Delicious apple, a try, because I honestly believe that the apple growers have put in the effort to make them at least not as bad as they used to be. They're also a bit less red than they used to be, and I think that's part of the thing. They certainly have the reputation. No, I agree with the reputation. I just think that in the physical reality that we inhabit, things have in fact improved for the Red Delicious. We are using a new plate. This one, this plate right here. Bam, it's yellow. Because we're on to plating. And turn that off. We need a scooper. Oh, we also need a scrape. Make sure none of this stuff is restuck. This is, I mean, it looks like a stir fry aside from the apples, but the smells that are coming off of this plate, you're also plating. Excellent timing. The smells that are coming out of this are entirely incongruous with what it looks like. It smells like a dessert. It smells like a dessert, which I suppose it kind of is, but also there's beef in it. The Granny Smith apples have held up nicely. They're soft, they obviously have softened, but there's still some good, like, recognizable slices here, which is what I was hoping for. I really wanted them to be visible in the finished product. That was a key I was going for. I think I'm serving myself half of this. Remainder of our green onions go on the top. Well, some of our green onions go on the top. A spritz of sesame seeds. A spritz of sesame seeds. Ooh, and a spritz of these Korean chili flakes. And that is the plate I'm serving. I really like the yellow plate with this. It was a set of plates. It was clearly not a complete set of plates because it was 3 of these yellow plates, 3 of the same style in red, and then 2 in black. And I thought that they would look very nice as plating options, especially to counter color some things with the red and yellow, because I've run into some things where my options are white, black, and brown, and the thing I'm plating doesn't work with white, black, or brown. This, for example, I think pops much better on yellow because the white rice would disappear into a white plate. This one would have worked on black as well, but I think the yellow is a good pop here. And there's no yellow in the food either. So yeah, so we have some new plates. They're just these plain colors. But also the black version doesn't have that like golf ball pattern on it, so that can give us another option for the black. And it looks like the red ones got a little bit scuffed up. The red ones. I'm not sure what we'll put on the red ones, but we also have the red ones. They were very nice, and because they were a set, I could get the whole bunch of them for very affordable. Let's go take a picture of this. It was $5. It was $5 for eight of these. Kind of wish there was a blue one in there. They'd been like truly multicolored. Oh. You know what's blue? You know what's blue? Blue chopsticks. Blue chopsticks on the yellow plate with the red and orange and green food. There you go. I'm frequently on the lookout for like more plating options. So the blue. There. Right? Those chopsticks actually come in red, orange, yellow, and blue. There's no green or purple in there. Ooh. Let's taste it while it's nice and hot. Let's dive in and see what we got going on here. I really want to try a bite with the beef, the apple, and some rice to start. So, beef apple rice. Oh my God. Oh my God. What is happening? What is happening in my life to have led me to this? My God, that was everything. That bite was every flavor you can think of smashed into one. Holy crap. This is intense. First of all, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's sour, it's savory, it's very appley. Damn, the apple just jumps out at you. It tastes. Wow, you ooh boy, ooh, oh, damn. I gotta go in and take another bite. It tastes way stronger than it smells. Wow. I think I need to dial back on the spices a little bit. Try it again. Okay. I'm expecting it a little bit more that time, and it didn't just assault my face. Wow. Definitely dialed back on the spices a little bit. Not too much, honestly, but a little bit. They're a wee bit intense. There's also like actually pepper spicy because of that Anaheim pepper that I put in there. A ripe Anaheim has got a punch to it. Interestingly, it really tastes like apple pie, but you still are getting the savory parts of the beef and the onion in the stir fry coming through. It's a punch in the face, though. Wow, it's very intense. It's weirdly balanced. I didn't really take the time to carefully balance my flavors, but it's weirdly balanced, but it's balanced in that all of the flavors are kind of like cranked up. So it's just, bam, it's very tasty. I could probably concoct like a written form of the recipe for this. It's so interesting. Um, Try some of the bits on the end. I think the bok choy is kind of lost in there, honestly. It's good for some texture. Definitely not needed. And I kind of threw it in there just because I had some rather than because it's a necessary part of the dish. I also, I wouldn't do bell pepper. I think having just a small amount of pepper in there like this, but I think I would swap it in for jalapeno. Kind of. Maybe. I don't know. The apple is like, it's still got some texture to it. Still got some crisp. I think picking a Granny Smith was the right choice. Wow. So far, each of these individual bits I've tasted by themselves, just, they taste like what you expect them to taste like. But when they're all together, oh man, the beef is so good with that spice blend on it. Guys, pumpkin spice is wasted on sweets. Oh, it's so good on meat. Wow. Each element tastes like itself with this underlying sweet spice savory thing, but when you get them all in one bite, it's like a punch in the mouth. It's like a punch in the mouth. Put that on the tagline. See if anybody understands that that's a good thing. Wow, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Any clashing elements? I think I just I think I just went a little bit too hard on the spices, and they're kind of all cranked up. Um, and the bok choy, when it's in everything, the bok choy does kind of disappear, so it's not really clashing. But the flavor of the bok choy doesn't really go with what else I've got going on here. It's got a very vegetable-y flavor, which in a normal stir fry is nice. In this, it's kind of coming out of left field. It doesn't really fit in the group with the rest of them. How much would I dial back on the spices? Probably what I would do is I would toss out the marinade liquid instead of using it as part of the sauce base, because that had some of the spices in it as well. And I would just use the fresh spices at the end instead of both. You could experiment with other vegetables for sure. Broccoli might be good. It's not like this is lacking for vegetation, honestly. You could. I used a pretty small onion. If you used a bigger onion, like one of these softball onions, you could probably just get away with that being more of your vegetable element. I used a smaller red onion. Just used a bigger yellow onion. That might be a good balance. And then don't cut it so thinly. Leave it as sort of bigger pieces, so you got more visible slices of onion. Because the onion in here is like this. It's really kind of become one with the sauce. Or you could swap in for a bigger pepper. I don't want to say a green pepper, but maybe like a yellow bell pepper, one of the sweeter kinds of bell peppers. I feel like a green bell pepper wouldn't be quite what this is asking for. You want a vegetable on the sweeter side. I wouldn't go with a Vidalia because I want the onioniness, and Vidalias don't have that oniony, sulfury thing to them. And without that, I think this would lose some of its savoriness. It's really tasty. Wow, it's so interesting. It hits your mouth, and your mouth thinks it's going to be a dessert, and then it's savory, and it's just sort of it's confusing. I know some people who would hate this. I love this. Oh my god. Honestly, because the apple still has as much of its texture, that the apple is the primary sort of vegetable element in here, even though it's a fruit. So I don't know that it really even needs another vegetable. I think I could just leave out the bok choy and be completely happy. It didn't really, it's not really adding anything. It's not really detracting anything. It's just kind of there. It's providing a little bit of roughage. You could probably do this with a different leafy green and leave out the stem bit and just use the leaves. Because you don't want it to impart a lot of flavor, because we're already dealing with a lot of flavor here. This needs a spoon too, just to scoop. Oh boy, it's. I would have a hard. I'm having a hard time describing this. Putting the butter in at the end, I can tell it's there. It's providing that sort of round. I hate that word describing food, but it's a roundness to it. I could write this one up, I think. How would mustard greens go in it? They might work. They might be on the too flavorful side. I would say it. I would say it's very forgiving. You could probably do cabbage. You could do ong choy, which is a much leafier thing than bok choy. You could do kale. I'd put the kale in a little bit earlier to let it. This one goes into the cookbook. This was just like a random inspiration from me. I talked at the very beginning of the stream, which will be on the VOD. I talked through my thought process, how I settled on wanting to do this. It was really just this mishmash. It's definitely spicy. I don't think the Anaheim. It's. It doesn't taste like a dessert. We're coming out. An undefined time in the distant future. I don't think I can't taste the pepperiness of the Anna, like the pepper flavor of the Anaheim. It's just imparting some spice, so it's making this spicy, and it makes you think it's going to be a dessert, but then it's savory. It's not. It doesn't taste like a dessert. It tastes like a sweet savory combo, which is I think why it's punching so hard. I would need to measure things out. I think I would put in a little bit less of the white sugar. And I just kind of eyeballed that. And if I don't put in the soy sauce, then it would probably need a pinch of salt or a splash of soy sauce. Oh yeah, Bookworm was trying to write these up in a readable format. I'm not good at that. I need to practice. I just need to practice it. It's making my nose run a little bit from being spicy, so I keep wiping my nose with that towel there. Dang, this is a thing. It is not what I expected to come out of this when I started. It is significantly better than what I expected to come out of this when I started. I thought that we'd have edible and interesting. What we got out of this one was out of left field good. With room for improvement. Obvious places where this can be also improved. Damn. I wasn't expecting it. No, this one's a surprise. I thought this was going to be one of our like, yeah, that's pretty good, and weird type things. Wow. Sorry, I'm waxing shocked. I'm not waxing poetic because I'm just kind of being shocked. Wow. Okay. I guess I don't have much more to say about the food. I want to eat it before it gets cold. So we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap it up here, so I can eat this before it gets cold. Wow. It's intense. It needs a drink, just a glass of water with it to sort of take a sip and rinse your mouth out because it's very intense. Okay, let's wow. Oops. Let's see where we can take this. Uh, let's see who's on the follow list. We jumped into a random last time. It's only 6:30. It's a little bit earlier. Ooh, mushrooms. I have some mushrooms. Mushrooms would be good. It's a stir fry. Like, the elements of it are flexible. The beef, I don't think is necessarily necessary. Um, although a strong flavored protein is definitely beneficial. So I wouldn't go with chicken, but I think goat or lamb or mutton or one of those, like, or venison. Um, you want some flavor, otherwise it's going to disappear. It's got to have some oomph to it. But what has some good oomph that can be a protein in this? Mushrooms. I'm not thinking button mushrooms. I'm thinking like sliced shiitakes, some of those stronger, meatier mushrooms, or oyster mushrooms, or some of those could stand in where the beef is here. I think tofu would just be too much of a flavor sponge. It wouldn't build the way the beef builds. It wants something that will bring some of its own flavor so that it does not just get completely disappeared into all what we've got going on here. Because apple pie is a pretty intense flavor overall. Um, Ham. I, I still have a ton of ham. I've been eating ham almost every day. Uh, I still have a ton of ham. Ham, I think, could go in here because that has a pretty strong flavor as well. But I wouldn't go like a pork chop. That I think would disappear. It's this balancing point where you want something that has enough flavor that it doesn't just vanish. But it doesn't. I almost feel like any. That's a factor of the spices as well. The pie spice blend wants to go with strong meat flavors. I say put it with meat, and what I mean by that is combine it with beef, goat, lamb. Um, I think black trumpet would be good. I think enoki would you'd fall apart. You get those little straw strands in there. Um, enoki would change the character of it. It probably would taste good, but it would make it look and eat differently. Um, what else could you put in there? It feels like it's got some flexibility. Um, oh, could you do it with shrimp or duck? Ooh, duck has a good flavor. There's a lot of options. Before I go, I want to talk about something real quick. Before I go, complete topic change. This was 50 cents for fat-free Cool Whip. I bought it because I was like, what the hell's fat-free Cool Whip? Turns out it's not fat-free. They've just done a bunch of chemistry to get the fat content per serving below 0.5% so that they can round down to 0. And that chemistry has resulted in this stuff tasting awful. This is so bad. And I'm keeping it. And I'm keeping it. Ooh, beans! Just had an epiphany of a vegetable that would go in this that would not clash, that would be more sort of vegetable roughage. Snow peas or pea pods would go really well with this because they're on the sweet side anyways, so they wouldn't fight with the rest of it. pea pods. Um, Lion's Mane would be good if you can find it. Um, Button and Portobello would be too flavorless. So that stuff was terrible. Regular Cool Whip isn't my favorite. It's okay. I kind of like it. That stuff was terrible. The chemists making the fat out of Cool Whip are making Red Delicious edible. Um, Anyways, yeah. So, see, that's what my dad says. But my opinion is that Cool Whip and whipped cream are not the same thing. They are different ingredients and taste different. I don't eat Cool Whip thinking that I'm gonna be getting whipped cream flavor because it's not that. It's not that. So that's my mindset, which is why I wanted to try that stuff because if it was okay, then I'd be okay with it. And it is terrible. It is terrible. The way they did is they stabilized it. They took the fat out and had to stabilize it. They stabilized it with a bunch of xanthan gum, which makes it like stretchy, like a putty. The texture is so off-putting. It's really, really terrible. Anyways, I was looking at a raid panel. Who's on? Who's on? We could go raid Murphy. We could go raid Murphy. Murphy's... Oh, Little Nightmares. Murphy's still on Halloween stuff. Chef J Tay is on again. We rated him last time. I don't know. None of these food ones are speaking to me today. For some reason. We could go see Flamingo, who's playing Dragon Age. Jim is on. Jim is on. This time of night? That's a little weird. Whomst else is available? What do you guys think? Where should we go? Sure, they had to use something because without the fat in there to make an emulsion, you get nothing. They used hydrogenated vegetable oil, xanthan, and guar gum. Oh, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Anyway, enough about that. I just saw it in there while I was looking at other proteins and was like, oh, I should mention that because that was really, really bad. As someone who kind of likes regular Cool Whip, that was really bad. If you don't like regular Cool Whip, that's even worse. We're gonna go see Murphy because I don't know who else to go. We're gonna go say hi to Murphy. We've been there before. You know who Murphy is. They're a Belarusian living in Texas. Big weird clash of cultures. Playing Little Nightmares 2, which is a scary game. I assume they started it yesterday for Halloween and are finishing it. Because it was Halloween yesterday. I don't know if you heard. Also, happy All Saints Day. It's All Saints Day. All the saints, they got a day. It's today. Thanks to Raya for the sub. Thanks to all you for showing up. Thanks for sticking around. You got to see one of the really exciting outcomes. We don't get fully like exciting surprise food outcomes very often. Most of the time I know what I'm getting into as we're getting into it. This one was a whoa. So we're gonna write this one down. Yeah, and then I will be back on Monday. I might do a Tuesday because it's election day and do like election day special. We'll see. Bye. Bye.